All right, you may grab a seat. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jamie. I am a pastor here at Sherwood Park Alliance Church. And thank you all for being here. You might not know this, but your presence here in this room means a lot more than you can even understand. It speaks to the love that surrounded Payton. And it reminds everyone in this room that we're all going through the same grief, the same loss, the same celebrations, and the same memories. And today is a celebration of life. But that phrase, celebration, can be confusing and challenging in a moment like this. Because today is a day where both joy and sorrow sit side by side. Where laughter and tears are both welcome in here. Where stories told from friends and family will bring many smiles, many memories, many laughs, but there will also be great sadness that accompanies this celebration. See, there's no single right way to feel on a day like this. As so many different emotions well up in us, it's okay to feel all that comes your way. But today we take time to make space to remember Payton. To honor the life that he lived. The love that he gave to each and every one of you. And we grieve because he deeply mattered, but we also celebrate because he was such a gift to every person in this room. And my hope is that in this time together, you would feel freedom to mourn honestly. Honestly with yourself, honestly with your family and friends. To celebrate openly. As you sit here and you hear stories about who Payton was and the impact that he had on people and the funny little quirks about him, that you would feel open to celebrate the memories that you shared and laugh about them. And as you leave this place and you go and you talk about who Payton was, may you feel open to celebrate who he was. And may you find comfort in the presence of all the other people in this room who really loved your great friend, your great family member, your great teammate. And in just a moment, we're going to hear the eulogy of Payton, followed by many tributes from so many of his friends. I don't think I've ever been to a celebration of life where so many people wanted to say something about him. And that says something about Payton. But before that, I'm going to open us up just in a moment of prayer. Asking God to meet us exactly where we are. And to hold us in our grief and to surround us with peace and a strength today that we can't conjure up on our own. So would you just take a moment to join me in prayer, and then we'll go into Payton's eulogy. Let's pray. God, we thank you that you loved Payton, that you created him, every aspect about him, you wove him together. And we sit here and we celebrate who he was. But God, we also feel the pain of him being gone way too soon. And God, may you be in this room. May you comfort all areas of our hearts. May you be specifically with the family. May you bring memories to mind that we can laugh at and celebrate. And may you be close to those who are deeply mourning. God, we thank you for Payton. And we thank you that we can all be here today to celebrate who he was and that he's now with you. In your name we pray, amen. We will now have the eulogy read by a member of the Friends and Family.
For those of you who don't know us, my name is Hudson, and this is my sister Rylan. We're Payton's younger siblings. What I'll be reading today was written by my mom, Jen. Thank you all for being here today. Any of you who knew Payton well would know that he would hate every moment of this. He was not one to be in the spotlight, so I'll make this short and sweet for him. I'm amazed at how many people are here to honor our son. Whether you knew him as family, a friend, teammate, or part of his lacrosse family, please know that you all played a part in his life. and I hope you'll stay a part of yours. I started writing this on our way to Greenville before I had met a lot of Payton's Tuscaloosa friends. When Jordan stood and spoke at Payton's celebration, I was amazed at how well Jordan had got to know my son in 4 short months. This may be expected when these guys do everything together, but Payton was not one to open up quickly. I was nervous for Payton moving that far away and making new friends, even at 19. But the more we talked, the more that eased, and I knew he had found a family in his lacrosse team. It was amazing to see the change in Payton over 4 months. To his teachers, coaches, teammates, and friends, we thank you for accepting Payton and helping him grow. When Jordan spoke, he used the term loved hard to describe Payton. And that was the exact term I had written on my way there. That was Payton. When he chose something or someone to love, he was all in. Anyone who knows Payton knows that he is the strong, silent type. He didn't let just anyone in. You had to work. And if you were lucky enough to be one of the people Payton let in, you were special. He loved those close to him hard, and he usually let you know it. Payton has some amazing friends here today, and I would like you all to know how much he loved you. You guys had some wild times together, and I know that he loved every minute of it. As one of his friends said in a text to me shortly after Payton's death, I'm sorry for all the trouble and gray hairs we caused for you. Those are the best times of my life. That's all part of the fun, and I hope those memories you will hold on to forever. You were all such a big part in making Payton the man he was. You will always be family to us. Payton loved nothing more than being an older brother. He took such pride in his younger siblings. We all know he could be a pain, but that was his way of showing you he loves you. You'll be able to carry with you all of your childhood memories. Remember that Payton will be looking down on you, guiding you through life. To Payton's lacrosse family, little did I know that at 6 years old, when we met the Thompson family, how our life would change. Josh convinced Payton to join lacrosse, and as a typical parent, I was very hesitant. The game was too rough, and I didn't want my baby getting hurt. I was outvoted, and Payton joined the Titans. One game, he was hooked. He loved it. And let me tell you, there was no turning back. Lacrosse became everything. It was Payton's passion. He played any chance he got. Whether it was just in the backyard with his siblings, playing for his own team, or for a team that needed a call-up, you didn't have to ask Payton twice. He was there with a stick in his hand. Now, as most of you know, lacrosse is a rough game, and Payton had his share of it. He always told me not to worry. He would outrun them. And did he ever? The kid was built to run, and he had speed that sometimes he couldn't even control. Whether you knew Payton as part of the Titans, Outlaws, Miners, Apex, or Tuscaloosa, every one of you touched Payton's life. When they say lacrosse is a family, it really is. Each of you has not only been a part of Payton's life, but of ours as well. We appreciate all the support we've received and cannot express our thanks enough. Our son was taken too soon, and he will be forever 19. We didn't get to write the ending for this, but I'm so happy we got to be a part of Payton's story. We are grateful for every moment we got to spend with him, and for every memory we get to carry with us. We hope that Payton's memory will stay with all of you, and that if you take one thing from him, please love hard. And on me and my sister's behalf, we would like to say that we are so grateful to have had Payton as our older brother. We will forever be looking up to him, as we always have.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that good, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Thanks for everyone for being here, and thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Cook and the entire Cook family for having us. My name's Alex Orniak, and Payton was one of my best friends. I never really thought I'd be up here giving this speech, feeling the way I do. And never in a million years did I want to be up here giving this speech about our son, brother, friend, teammate, grandson, nephew, and cousin. But here we are. As you go through life, you get caught up in your jobs, your families, your schoolwork, your sports teams, your chores, your kids, everything that fills your days. And in the middle of all that, how often do you stop and just tell someone you love them? People spend so much time worrying about what others think, trying not to act weird, trying not to have too much fun, trying to be something they're not. But Payton Cook was never worried about any of that. Payton was always unapologetically himself. He always made sure people knew they were welcome and loved. He was genuine, authentic, funny, attentive, caring, responsible, loving, weird, awkward, nerdy, but also one of the most stoic and stand-up individuals I've ever met. And I think the best way to understand who Payton was is through the memories we have together. For those of you who might not know, Payton and I played a lot of lacrosse together and against each other from the time we were 6, around that. And with that many years comes a lot of memories, and it's hard to choose just one, so I thought of a couple. But there's a moment from this past season that really stands out. We were in Calgary playing the Mounties, and me and Payton were paired up on defense when our team got the ball back. And as everyone's getting up and off the floor, a kid on the other team shoved me, and I hear my ankle pop, and I couldn't walk on it at all. And as I'm hobbling off the floor to the bench, Payton runs up beside me, then in front of me, then to the other side of me, then in front of me again, just zigzagging in front of me, just cutting me off. And I think he was trying to help. So after we're done tripping over each other, he picks aside and puts my arm around him. But in excruciating pain and with the little patience I had left, I shoved him, and I said politely, of course, in the most lacrosse-friendly way, "Would you mind getting out of the way, Payton?" As soon as we got back onto the bench, he said something along the lines of, "You okay, Zorns? I'm sorry, man." Which is wild, considering he was the one just trying to help me, but it's just who he was. And after a few laughs, it became a memory we'd carry, and just a small testament to who he was. And that's what makes this loss so heavy, knowing it's those memories that are gone now. I'm gonna miss times like that with my brother. I'm gonna miss walking the streets of Calgary lost in between games at the Canada Day tournament. I'm gonna miss blasting the Eagles, Dire Straits, America, Alabama, and so many other bands. I'm gonna miss going to see Payton and his dad in their hotel room after games just to hang out and talk. I'm gonna miss carpooling and talking about life, music, sports, work, the gym, fishing, and even the stock market. I'm gonna miss competing against him and chirping each other in practice. I'm gonna miss sitting next to him in every dressing room ever and fighting over whose spot is whose. I'm gonna miss playing pass before games, trying his stick and obnoxiously asking him, "Who strung this? Were they blind?" I'm just gonna miss Payton Cook. And judging by everyone here today, I know I'm not alone in that. Payton would be really happy to see all you here. He had a massive network of people who loved him and still do. And I don't really think this guy ever had someone dislike him. I mean, how could you? He minded his own business, took care of his family and friends, and loved endlessly. One of the big things I admired most about Payton was his love for his family, especially his role as big brother. I remember 4-on-4 lacrosse the past few years when Payton and his younger brother Hudson would come out. Hudson was a couple years younger than us, although somehow still bigger than me and half of my draft class. But he was still young, and playing with junior A and NLL guys all over the floor isn't an easy task. But whenever Hudson was on the floor with Payton, he played with this new swagger. It was like he knew everything would be all right. He knew he was being guided, and if something didn't work out, his big brother would be right there to help him fix it. That same loyalty showed up everywhere Payton went. He was the first guy in a scrum sticking up for his teammates and the last one to leave. He was always making sure the guy he was paired up with was set straight. I'm pretty sure by the end of his minor career, he was getting thrown out of more games than not. He just loved his guys, loved the intensity of lacrosse, and loved letting the other team know who he was and what he stood for. And that's why saying out loud that Payton Cook is gone cuts deeper than anything I've ever felt. You go from making plans for when he's home from school to learning the news of his passing after work. What's happened is more than devastating. It's heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, and impossible to describe. But even in the middle of all that pain, there's this comfort in the back of my mind knowing Payton's safe with God, in a place we all hope to go someday. And I know he's probably laughing at me right now, but man, I just miss you. I miss all your tendencies and your small quirks, the way you laughed, the way you ran like a gazelle, the way you threw the lacrosse ball ridiculously hard from 5 feet away. And despite the agony of losing you, I feel incredibly blessed to have known you and shared the moments we did. Getting drafted together, graduating minor lacrosse together, winning countless championships together, go Titans. Playing junior A together, mine and grind, and even playing against each other in junior B, roll, rebs. All such pivotal moments in our lacrosse careers. But I'm also just as thankful for the small memories, like walking from Hudson's Pub in Saskatchewan in complete disappointment that we weren't old enough to get in, playing mobile Fortnite everywhere we went, or going skiing at Sunridge and eating it on any box, rail, or tube that existed on that hill. The other week I was watching Payton's Memorial Day ad at Tusculum while taking the bus home from school. And one of his professors referenced a passage Payton wrote for an assignment. Told you guys. Oh, it sucks. He wrote, and I quote, "There is so much hate in today's society, so if I can be the reason someone's day is even the slightest bit better, then that makes my day much better." Philippians 4:13 is a verse I think is very powerful. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. End quote. Losing someone like that, someone like Payton, creates a pain that's incalculable. It feels unfair that someone so caring and faithful could be taken, and that all the memories still to be made are left stranded up in the air. But if there's one thing I know about Payton, it's that he wouldn't want us to dwell or wonder or wish or hope. He would just want us to achieve. He'd want us to win. And he'd want us to take care of each other. No matter how hard things got, Payton always put his head down and found a way forward. I'm grateful I'm in a room with people I can agree with, and the fact that Payton Cook was a beauty. I love you so much, Payton, and I can't wait to talk to you again. Take it easy and don't let the sound of your own wheels drive you crazy, brother. Till we meet again.
I really missed the memo that this is paper, so off the phone today. So when I was about 6 years old, I first met Payton along with Jen, John, Riley, and Hudson through hockey. He was never a great hockey player, but honestly at that age none of us really were. He was a quiet kid, but we clicked immediately. Quickly we became part of each other's family, and I was like another brother to him, and he was like another brother to me. After that year of hockey, I introduced Payton to lacrosse. So I feel like I should get some of the credit for how good of a player he turned out to be. Our first year of lacrosse, my dad, Will Young, and John coached us. Jen and my mom both didn't sit, but stood yelling at their babies not to get hurt. It was contact sport, so. But, you know, there's never really a feeling watching someone fall in love with a game, no matter what sport it is. They get better at you, and you just sit there like, man, it's fun to see. Fast forward a couple years to COVID, where me and Payton really started to be best friends. It was nice in COVID. We probably played Pokemon Go for 8 hours a day, probably 7 days a week, biking all around Sherwood Park, throwing these stupid virtual balls at these animated characters that were either this big or bigger than this room for I don't know why, but it was the best. And on the nights nights that we'd end up sleeping at Payton's house, we'd sit with Hudson since his knees were busted. And we'd watch these videos of these guys drifting bikes or cars, whatever, other stupid stuff. It was the best. A couple times where I'd bring my Xbox over and we would always play GTA robbing casino after casino. We may or may not have introduced Hudson to the shoe store for anybody who played that game. And after we'd play way too much of that, we'd go mess in Ryland's room, trash the place. Sorry, Becky. That's who Payton was. He was a family man who did everything out of love. He was quiet, he was a fierce lover, and I know most people in here can attest to that. Payton loved his family. He loved being a big brother to Hudson and Ryland. He loved his mom and dad, and it was always evident to anybody who saw a family together. I had the privilege to go on many trips to Jasper, skiing in the winter and hiking and cliff jumping in the summer, especially the time when my mom took us on a 5-hour detour. It was fun. And we ended up at this place called O'Shea's, and for some reason it was all you can eat wings, and boy was that a fun car ride home. We went to the Calgary Zoo and Drumheller every year, every summer. Some of my funnest memories are just out chilling at his hangar, Cooking Lake, where we would scooter around, mess with John's plane sometimes, but never really knew about it. It still works, so it's okay. And camping, when we went, it was always us and the Cleves. And I remember there were a couple times where we would light up cattails and try to smoke them because we thought we were cool. Probably haunt my lungs later, but that's a problem for another day. The Cook family became my family, and Payton was the big brother that I never had. Words can't describe how devastated I am about what happened to Payton and the adventures that holds for the future that happened with my brother Payton. But I know that he's watching over all of us, probably still playing lacrosse, doing what he loved best, with that stupid smirk he always had. You can never tell if he was just smiling at you or looking in the clouds, but man, he was... I never wanted to be up here reading this in front of everybody, and I never really thought I had to. You can't write something so you can't put it into words. It's a feeling of losing a best friend like this. You never expect it. It sucks because he's gone way too soon. Love you long time, Cookie.
My name's Justice. I'd like to thank the Cook family for giving me an opportunity to speak about Payton, my friend, teammate, and lacrosse brother. Today is hard for all of us, and never expected to do this ever, but grateful to be able to share a couple memories about someone who meant the world to me. Payton was pretty shy and quiet when we first met playing lacrosse. We played around 7 years of minor lacrosse together, winning multiple championships with the Sherwood Park Titans. Payton became a jokester in the room over time, a quiet type that didn't speak up too much, but when he cracked a joke, everyone would laugh uncontrollably. Payton and I would always look back on those days and admire how good of a team we were and the dynasty we had growing up. Payton and I also went to Bev Facey. We didn't have many classes together, but whenever we could, we'd try and see each other. Whether that be eating lunch together in grade 10 or going out of class to go to the bathroom, which is code for walking around the school together, visiting the gym or sport fit class. I remember in grade 12, I was in physics and he was in English, and he would always be sitting in the upper foyer doing his work. But I was probably the main problem with that because I had to go out and visit him all the time, so I wouldn't get much done. On the lacrosse floor, Payton was the ultimate teammate, a quiet leader who stood up for his teammates no matter what. In junior, we were teammates in Beaumont in our first year, and this past year we were teammates on the Edmonton Miners. Junior lacrosse is where we really spent most of our time together. Every practice and game, we carpooled, so one of us was driving the other all the time. When driving, we'd pick each other up at the ends of our driveways. Mind you, my driveway is quite the hike, and his is just right there. He lives in the neighborhood, but his excuse for not picking me up was that he didn't know how to back out, which is bullcrap because he was a great driver, better than I am. And one day it was pouring rain out, and he made me walk all the way to the end of my driveway, as per usual. When I opened that passenger door, I was furious, and there's Cookie with a big grin on his face. Later that day at practice, I fined him $2, and then on the way home, I sprayed him with my water bottle to let him know that this is how it feels to be soaked. During those car rides, we talked about everything: life, school, work, listening to lots of great music. Payton was my music guy. He had the best playlists. He knew every song I asked him about, so I credit all my music taste to him. Same goes for cars. Payton was a car fanatic. Every fancy car I asked him about on the road, he knew it right then and there. Didn't even have to think about it. Along with the car rides, our team bus trips were really fun. I have countless videos on my phone of Payton snoring on the bus. When we got off the bus, he was always ready to go and ready to play. He always had his 5 gum in his mouth while he played and before the game. And I never knew how he played with gum in his mouth. He'd always have his water bottle too, Gatorade water bottle, which he always sucked on, which I always made fun of him for. Never squirted it, always sucked on in his mouth. On the floor though, I'd describe Payton's game as being a menace. He had his fair share of ejections. Payton had a long fuse, but when he snapped, he made it count. I remember in minor lacrosse, we were playing against the Warriors. Payton had just shot the ball inside the 24-foot, ripped it at the goalie's chest, obviously. And I don't know if he's here, but poor Jackson Leatherby, I think I see you there, yeah, you probably remember this one, who we would later be teammates with. He jumped up for the ball in the crease, and Payton annihilated him. Probably one of the biggest hits I've ever seen. And after the punches were thrown with Jackson, and their goalie jumping in too to jump Payton, Payton would be ejected for a 5-minute major. Another incident in U17 year was in our provincial final game. We were winning 9-0 in the third period, and Payton was going for a loose ball in the far side corner, and yeah, just fully obliterated this kid again from behind. Probably 2 minutes left in the game, and getting kicked out, 5-minute major. I remember joking with him after, saying if we weren't winning and beating them so bad, I would have kicked his ass. Along with being a physical force, Payton had a great shot. I always remember him coming over and shooting on my net outside, and him teaching me how to do sidearm rips, behind the back passes, and around the world passes. He always had a better stick than me, and probably always will. We always pushed each other to be better in every category of our game. Some memories from this past season: we're going to the casino with him, sharing some nachos. I was up that night, he was down. And our Saskatoon trip. But my favorite were the Calgary trips. In junior A lacrosse, hotels mean sharing beds and 4 players to a room. Me and Cookie shared a bed one of our trips, and he's a kicker. He kicked me so many times that night I can't even count. And during the night too, I thought he was actually awake while doing this, but he smacked his arm right to the side of my face. And I was reaming him in the morning about it, but he didn't remember sleeping. He made up for it though, as prior to all that, he had his favorite drink, Twisted Teas, and he was sharing them with all the boys. On a different Calgary trip, after one of our games, the minors boys will remember this, our post-game meal were beef dip on a bun. And our whole team ended up getting food poisoning, having to either throw it up or having to come out the other end all night. I remember seeing Payton the following morning and telling me he had to take turns with the guys in his room that night on the toilet. We ended up having to play the next game while everyone's still suffering from the food poisoning, but we ended up winning that game with the Imodium pills that all of us had on us. We also had some team get-togethers last year, which included some of the Oilers playoff games. Payton and I went to the Moss Pit and met up with some of our teammates there. We ended up leaving after the second period to go to the Pine downtown, and we all scootered there. Payton by far was one of the most reckless scooter drivers I've ever seen. He was fearless on that thing, but he had a smile on his face the whole time while almost crashing into people and objects. Cookie was an inspiration to me. He taught me how to be a quiet leader, how to work hard, and that confidence and swagger that he always possessed. He also introduced me to faith and how he followed God, and that God has a plan for everyone. Cookie was and will always be a brother to me. The countless battles we had on the floor together, I'll cherish forever. And the friendship we had off the floor was more than I could ever ask for a best friend. To John, Jen, Rylan, and Hudson, thank you for sharing with all of us. You made a light in all of our lives.
Hi everyone, I want to say thank you for all being here with us to celebrate Payton's life. I'm Declan Lindeman, and I got the privilege to spend the better portion of my life knowing Payton is not only my best friend, but somebody I consider as my fourth brother. I'd also like to say that the 2 guys behind me gave me the honor to stand before you all and be the voice for them on who Payton was to us. I also quickly want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Cook for allowing me to speak at this beautiful ceremony. Okay, try to live up to all the guys before me, but we'll try to get through this without crying. Through what me and my friends would call the best years of our lives, there's hundreds of memories and moments that now while writing this definitely stick out. Some I for sure cannot be shared, and a lot that probably wouldn't be the smartest to tell, but in the memories I will. At the core of each story, Payton is in the center of all the chaos, doing his dumb little smirk. A lot of you here today may see Payton as this very polite, respectful, shy man, but honestly, that couldn't be farther from the truth. If you got through that initial calm demeanor and persona, he was actually the loudest, funniest, energetic guy you'd ever meet. He'd make you laugh so hard you'd almost pee. He'd be sitting making no noise 1 minute, then jumping up and down screaming his high-pitched little girl scream. He would always know what to say just to piss you off and just tip you toe on the line to see how far he'd go before you snapped. Saying this, he will forever go down in our friend group as easily the biggest shit disturber we've ever met. I can stand here and the guys will all agree that through those 7 to 8 years of all of us knowing him, there are countless angry phone calls, text messages, or conversations held because of something Payton convinced us to do. Now I'll be honest, it didn't take much for him to convince us, just a good "don't be a pussy" usually would get the job done. But to us, he was the type of friend that if you were down, he was down, and there was never any looking back. Even through all the trouble he would get us in, Payton became the rock of the friend group. If you texted him to be somewhere, he'd be there, no questions asked. He'd be our biggest hater, but even a bigger supporter. He would always be down for one drink, and I think every guy in here knows that one drink doesn't usually mean one drink, and it leads to a couple more. But when you really need someone, all of us knew that he was in the corner ready to do whatever we needed. Whether we needed advice, someone to just listen, a good laugh, or we were probably in some woman trouble, he was the friend that we could always lean on and not worry about being judged. He always had the right thing to say or do, and nothing would faze that kid. I'm sure all the guys would touch on different things that he brought to their lives individually, but I know for certain that to all of us, Payton was someone we looked up to and admired. Through all the laughs and memories we had with him, I can say that he impacted each and every one of us up here today, and made all our lives a lot brighter. The memories we created will forever hold a special place in each of our hearts, and something I will cherish. To me personally, Payton was the biggest blessing I'll ever receive in my lifetime. To start this off, we'd have to go back to where it all began, grade 7. At this time, I was new to the school, and I had no friends. I didn't really know anyone at the school, and especially knew no one in my class. But a buddy of mine named Reed, he told me that Payton was in my class, and I had to become friends with him, because in his words, he was just the coolest guy. He was the funniest, he was everything. Listening to him, I quickly made it my mission to become friends with Payton, and just by chance, we got paired up in football. From that moment on, we never looked back. We were linked at the hip through junior high and high school, we'd always get teased because we were always together. In the early years, I look back now and wish I could relive those moments. Moments from when I stuck a pencil on his seat when he wasn't looking and he sat on it. And like something out of a cartoon, his whole body flew up in the air, levitating and just screaming, and then being tossed out of class. Or from being delusional, trying to talk to girls in grades way ahead of us because we thought we were the new hot shit on the block. Within weeks of meeting him, you would have thought we knew each other for years. There was no awkward phase or long period of time to become close friends. We talked once, and from that single interaction, he became my brother. I remember at this age talking about Payton to my mom and dad, and I built him to be this out-of-world character, loud, funny, charismatic, and then him actually coming over and not saying a damn word and just sitting there awkwardly. Not making any fast motions or saying anything too loud, just like he just didn't want to be noticed, like he was trying to disappear. The look on my parents' faces killed me, but to me, Payton was really this out-of-world character, this larger-than-life figure, a guy that was hilarious, witty, loud, and energetic, but also the most kind and caring person. My parents just couldn't wrap their head around it. The person in front of them was the kid I'd always talk about. But nope, that was my best friend, and no matter how much shit we got in for always being together, I couldn't think of anyone I'd rather by my side. As we got older, we also became a lot bolder in what we thought we could get away with. This, however, was something that Mr. and Mrs. Cook did not love, and I probably gave them a lot of gray hairs, but we were dumb kids thinking we know what's best, and sure, there's a lot of times we got caught and in trouble, but still to this day, there are some things that we think we got away with. Or, now that talking to them more, they probably just turned a blind eye. Whether that be us saying we're going to our friend's house to actually being at a party, or being at a party where there's no alcohol for some reason, but my bag is clanking with glass bottles. If me and him were together, there was never any actual logic or thinking behind what we did, and that caused a lot of trouble, but also gave me some of my best memories of my life. A common line Payton would say to his mom is, "We have a ride home, don't worry." That was always a lie. I don't think we ever had a ride or planned for anything, and Mrs. Cook witnessed this firsthand on New Year's a couple years ago. As it was like way past, we had to be home at like 1:30 in the morning, and it was already past. It was like 2 a.m. And we always had this motto that if you couldn't figure it out sober, drunk you would figure it out. So we couldn't convince anyone to drive us home, so we decided to run home. As she's driving down a back road trying to find us, sure as shit, she sees me, Payton, and Jackson running down the road trying to get back to his house. At this point, we've already been running for nearly an hour, and I'd say negative 25-degree weather. And all I remember is the car going by, screeching off the tires, and Mrs. Cook yelling at us to get our asses in the car. There was not another word said in that car ride home. Looking back now, I really don't know how Payton was ever allowed to hang out with me, because usually it ended up with us getting in trouble. But no, the next day I'd be over like nothing ever happened. Now this is a memory I probably shouldn't share, and I'll probably get in trouble for this one, but here we go. In grade 12, we were writing an essay, and he would always sit beside me because that guy had never had a clue on what to write, and he would just copy what I said. And earlier in that week, we went to a watch party, and an older girl kissed him. And I remember he was like, telling me all about it. So I went home and I told my brother that this happened, and he asked to see the girl. And sure as shit, he thought he knew the girl, but he told me that he thought she was transgender. So boom, I had all the ammunition I ever needed in my life. I'm sitting on this story all week, waiting for a good time to drop it. And so we're finally mid-test. You can't say a word in this classroom. And I would lean over and I whisper, "The girl you kissed is a tranny." He freezes, turns to me, starts literally manhandling me and screaming at me in class. No, she wasn't. And I just went right back to work and didn't say another word for the whole class. I remember that the rest of that class, he was just white in the face, sweating. And it was just the funniest thing to me. Dumb, silly moments like this, I look back on and would do anything to have one more day to make. As all of us know, we never really planned on making a speech like this, and for me, especially for somebody that I viewed as a brother. Me and Payton would always talk about our future and the life we wanted to build. For me, it was never a question if he would be there. I always assumed wherever I go or whatever I decided to do, he was going to be there. We planned to start a company together this summer, talked about where we wanted to travel, the cars we wanted, and the money we wanted to make. We'd always be so worried but also fascinated at our futures, what our futures would hold. But now thinking about it, that stuff never really mattered to me. I just needed Payton there because usually if he wasn't going to be there, I wasn't going. What I think made our relationship so special was we were always just two little kids trying to have fun. No matter how much older we got, it was still always like we were back in junior high. It was never about something that the other person gave, but just two dumb, silly little kids that were trying to have as much fun as possible. A collective understanding that it may just be me and him against the world, but that's all we both ever needed. And as I write this and sift through the endless memories and pick what I can share, I realize what Payton was to me. Since the very beginning, I looked at Payton like he was this real superhero, this larger-than-life guy. A guy that I admired so much. And even though we weren't blood, when anyone would ask me who he was, it was Payton. He was my brother. And somehow, even though he was younger than me, I idolized him like an older brother and tried to be just a sliver as cool as him. That is who Payton is for me, this larger-than-life, funny, loving, kind, and caring guy that when I was around him made life feel lighter. He was and always will be my hero. The greatest blessing I've ever received. I love you, buddy. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Keenan Ross. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet, like Payton would ask. I've known Payton for a long time. Back when we were little, we played on the same hockey and lacrosse team. Right around the start of high school is when we rekindled our friendship. Somehow it felt like we were always connected as friends, whether it was through sports, school, or our shared love for chachi sandwiches. Throughout high school, we found ourselves in the same friend group. I think Payton would agree when I say some of our best memories and laughs came when we were all together. I've always wondered what my role in the friend group was, but I'm here to highlight Payton's role. We could all describe Payton as one of a kind and a friend to all. Payton was such a goofy guy who never took life too seriously, always making us laugh, yet we could always count on him when needed. That being said, Payton loved to shit disturb. Whether it was a prank terrorizing me or just life in general, he always had this no mercy approach, which made me love him even more. Looking back, Payton was the facilitator of many pranks, especially the ones at my expense. If you're familiar with Dairy Queen, you'll know that they often host silent auctions of framed artwork, which requires you to fill out your personal details to enter and a bid price. Well, somehow my good friend Payton basically knew my driver's license details front to back. And lucky me, I always found myself bidding a high offer on auctions I never even knew about or entered. Another time Payton showed no mercy is when I somehow ended up in his roof rack for what I thought was just going to be a lap around a parking lot. But it ended up being a full-on joyride. I guess Payton thought it would be even funnier to pretend to leave me stranded on the roof of his car. Payton had this humble confidence and would come off as very nonchalant. But Payton never failed to tell me how good looking he is or how strong he is. When me and Payton would go to the gym together, we would always carpool. And when we arrived at the gym, we usually were never wanting to go in right away. So Payton created this unwritten rule that we had to get out of the car at a good time. For example, if we got to the gym at let's say 6:11, we both wouldn't get out of the car until 6:20. Well, if we missed that time, then 6:25, and so on. Sometimes it went on for like 30 minutes, because neither of us felt like going in yet. Such a silly circumstance led to some of our most meaningful conversations. And on our way back home, we always listened to the same songs every time. It just became part of our gym routine. Payton was such an easy person to talk to and gave me great advice. I didn't always follow it though. Payton always had this great sense of style, whether it was rocking our Terry's toque to the bar in the middle of summer or always having his shirt off in the streets of Sherwood Park. I admired his jewelry to the point where we had the same chain and bracelet. I will forever remember when we rocked the same watch for our grad. I was always proud to match with you. I think I speak for everyone when I say we are truly blessed to have known Payton and the impact he will have on our lives going forward. Your presence will be felt everywhere. You will always be within my heart, guiding me every step of the way. Thoughts of you, along with treasured memories I hold so close to my heart, will live on forever. You're grinding my gears, pal. I love you, Payton.
Thank you for being here today. My name is Owen Astley, if any of you don't know who I am, but face to the name. And I just wanted to say to Jen, Jonathan, Hudson, and Rylan, I'm absolutely honored to be standing here today and pay tribute to my best friend, Payton Cook. Payton and I have known each other since kindergarten, where we attended Glen Allen Elementary. And the normal thing to say is that we met on the playground, but that's far from the truth. We were actually on bathroom break. I'd climbed on top of the bathroom stall. Doing what? I couldn't tell you to this day. But what I can tell you is that Payton ran towards the teacher and tattled on me. After that, I had to go sit in the naughty chair and eat my snack alone. But somehow, right then and there, in some weird way, we became inseparable. Throughout elementary school, we grew as friends, but more importantly, into brothers. Grade 1 was the only year we weren't sat next to each other, but that didn't stop the school bell from ringing and us finding one another at our cubbies, where we'd walk as slowly as possible to the pickup spot after school. I believe we asked every single day if we could hang out after school. Sometimes the answer was no from both sides, and that's where the slow walking really kicked in. We tried to squeeze out as much time as possible, and we did just that. Payton and I saw the world together, which is amazing to think about because only 14 years ago, we were complete strangers. I believe some people come into your life and make such a beautiful impact, they can barely remember what life is like without them. That was Payton. I don't think I could ever fully express how grateful I am to have had you in my life, Payton. He saved my life, and he knew it before I did. Growing up, I had very few friends, but that was okay, because I had him. I didn't need anyone else. He was the one person I could call at any hour of the night for advice or just someone to talk to. Sometimes he would come over, and we wouldn't even need to talk at all. Him just being there was all I could ever need. Many might ask if I consider Payton my best friend. The answer is no. He was my brother. A brother isn't just blood. A brother is one who's there through the fights, the laughter, and the dumb decisions. The dumb decisions that we made a whole heck of a lot of the time. It's also the moments you don't even talk about. The moments I know he and I will never forget, because he's seen me at my worst, and I've seen him at his best. It's the same vice versa. As we got older, there's no denying that we took different paths. Payton chased his dreams in lacrosse, and I chased my dreams in hockey. I still remember signing my first junior contract, and he was the very first person I told. There was no one else that even came to mind. And when Payton got drafted to the minors and committed to Tusculum University, I honestly thought that I was more excited than he was. But then it hit me. That was just who Payton was. He was the most humble person I had ever met. He was my better half. He kept me grounded and composed. He completed me, supported me, and understood me deeply. Even when we were living different lives, him chasing lacrosse and me chasing hockey, I always knew that when it came to an end, we'd end up back on the same road. He was someone you could always pick up right where you left off with. This past month, I've thought about all the things I wish I could say to you, Payton. The main one being that I love you so much, and I miss you more than words could describe. I've never envisioned a life without you in it. There will be many things I regret in my life, and that being at the top of the wish list. I wish I had said it more while you were still here. I and everyone else in this room wish we could have said goodbye, and for that I will forever cherish the last moment we spent together. As long as I'm so fortunate enough to walk this earth, I will walk it in honor of you and live out the legacy you leave behind. A legacy that showed us what it truly means to be a brother, present, humble, loyal, and constant. Because of you, none of us who loved you will ever walk alone. I hope this doesn't sound strange to me to say in a way, but I believe that it's okay to miss somebody. It's okay to feel sad when you do. That sadness is a gift, a beautiful thing, because it means you love someone deeply. When I remember Payton, I think about all the adventures we shared and that silly laugh of his that he had. That wasn't really a laugh, it was this infectious giggle that would always make me burst out laughing. Missing him makes me feel close to him in a strange way. And then I remember how he always found a way to make me feel happy. I'm so grateful for these memories, and I will forever celebrate him, and I can miss him at the same time. This grief is all the unexpressed love. It will stay with us until we pass, and I hope it stays with me, because it's the love I never got the chance to fully tell you. I don't think there's anything that could have prepared me to write this tribute, but this kind of pain that everyone gathered here today is feeling is something no one can truly prepare you for. To my brother Payton, I know that in every lifetime, we're always meant to find each other. You weren't just my best friend. You were my brother. You were my family. And I know that one day we'll meet again in eternity. I love you, Payton.
I never had the privilege of knowing Payton the way that so many of you did. Each of you knew him differently as a teammate on one of your teams, as a sibling who you spent every day with, as a really close family friend, as parents who loved him so deeply, more than words can express. You each carry a different version of Payton. And over the last few weeks, and especially in the last hour, I feel like I've got to know a version of Payton as well. A young man who is so loved, who loved hard, who loved deeply, who was unapologetically himself, who had a smirk where you didn't know whether you wanted to hit him or hug him. Someone with a passion for life. And again, I heard the same thing about Payton, that no one ever had a bad thing to say about him. And when I now think of Payton, I find myself thinking of a jersey. And not just because Payton was an athlete, but because a jersey tells the story of a life fully lived. A jersey can tell us the story of a family. I'm guessing it wasn't very long after Payton was born until he was put in his first jersey. And then year after year as he grew, the jerseys changed with the seasons of life. And a new jersey meant something new, a new team, a new moment, a new age, a new memory. See, jerseys hold memories of countless hours spent cheering from the stands, spent coaching. They symbolize pride and encouragement and the love of a family, the love of a team. A jersey also symbolizes camaraderie, of brotherhood. So many brothers of Payton in this room. Of road trips and tournaments. Of weird stuff that happened in the locker room that should never be spoken of. Things that only teammates can understand. Bonds formed that nothing, not even death itself, can take away. A jersey also reminds us of the highs and the lows of life. There's wins and there's losses. There's celebrations and there's tears shed. The injuries, the recovery, the perseverance. And a jersey speaks to someone's character, to how he showed up in life, to how they worked, how they loved people, their passions, their spirit, their heart. A jersey symbolizes a life fully lived. And it's estimated that a jersey is made of approximately 1 million individual threads, all woven and stitched together to create one piece that symbolizes something whole. And isn't life a lot like that? A million different moments, laughs and memories, tears, hugs, Christmases spent together, passes made, goals scored, movies watched, drives taken, road trips, wandering through the hallways when you're supposed to be in class, listening to the Eagles way too loud in the shower or in the garage or on a drive somewhere. All of it woven together into a life of someone we will all never forget. A life we are all so deeply grateful to have been a part of, but also a life we are heartbroken that ended too soon. And there's a poem in Scripture that actually speaks to life the same way that a jersey does. And it captures the full fabric of the human story. The moments we would want to relive again and again, those moments we would want to stay forever in, and also the moments we wish we never had to relive. And for thousands of years, this poem has woven people together around one simple truth: that there is a God who loves us. A God who loves Payton more than we ever could. A God who does not stand at a distance but walks with us through every moment. A God who weaves and stitches himself into the very fabric of our lives, into our joy, our grief, our victories, our losses, so that we are never alone in any of those moments. This God meets us in our sorrow and offers comfort. He walks with us through hardship so we never have to walk alone, and he celebrates with us in every moment of joy. And my hope today is that wherever you find yourself, These words of this poem would remind you that you are not alone. That they would remind you there is still love present. That comfort is still being offered, and that God is reaching out to you, even now, gently weaving himself into your story. This poem is found in Psalm 23, and it reads this: "The Lord is my shepherd, I have all that I need. He lets me lie down in green meadows, and he leads me beside peaceful streams. He renews my strength. He guides me along right paths, bringing honor to his name. Even when I walk through the darkest valleys, the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they protect me and comfort me. You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup of blessings overflows. Surely goodness and unfailing love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." See, from the green meadows and the peaceful streams to the darkest valleys, we are reminded that God's love will pursue us, chase after us all the days of our lives. And this is true for us, but it was also true for Payton. The goodness and mercy of God was pursuing Payton all the days of his life. And we can actually see the pursuit of God show up in the last few months of Payton's life, as he reflected on his faith and as he became closer to God as he was down in the States. He wrote a bit of a memoir in an English assignment that shows and speaks to how God was pursuing him as he was pursuing God. I'm going to read it for you here. This is Payton. "One of the best decisions in my life was to give it to Jesus Christ. I went through a time in my life where I felt broken, alone with no help, and overall melancholy. Then a complete stranger suggested I pray and Jesus will listen and help. So I did, and from that point I haven't looked back. Jesus helped me have a more positive outlook on life. Through trying to live by his ways, I have shifted my life for the better. In my day-to-day life, I try to live by his name and his ways and not by my own. Keeping Jesus' name in my head serves as a reminder that he is the quintessential meaning of love and charity. There is so much hate in today's society. So if I can be the reason for someone's day is even the slightest bit better, then that makes my day much better." Philippians 4:13 is a verse I think is very powerful. "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." I like to remember this verse when I'm feeling weak, whether that's in day-to-day life or during sports. Anger was something that I struggled with and was looking to improve. Since turning to Christ, I've noticed it's definitely suppressed. At the end of the day, everyone is human, and that is something a lot of people forget. It's everyone's first time living too. So no need to be upset with others if they do something I don't like. Taking a deep breath and forgiving is what Jesus has taught me to do. Spreading Jesus' love instead of hatred is something I aim to do in everything. Even though I haven't been close to God my whole life, doesn't mean he wasn't close to me. God has been with me through everything I've ever done in my life. He has blessed me with the opportunities to accomplish what I have. He's been there when I needed him, but it was up to me to go to him. I often have to remind myself that everything happens for a reason, as well as that everything is all in God's plan. No one is better than God, so surrender to him and your life will drastically improve. I love that line that Payton wrote. Even though I haven't been close to God, God has been close to me. God has been with me through everything I have done in my life. That's the idea of the jersey. That God weaves and stitches his way into our lives. God weaving and stitching himself into a life, into Payton's life, a life that we all cherish and a life that we will never forget. a life saved by Christ, where he will now dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Why don't you join me as we close in prayer? And may God's love and comfort guide you as you celebrate and remember the life of Payton. Let's pray. God, we thank you that Payton found you. We thank you that you found him. We thank you for all of the stories shared today. We pray that these stories would not grow quiet, that they would continue to be shared for the rest of our lives. That as we are doing something, as we're thinking about a memory, that Payton would come up. As we hear someone laugh, that we would remember his giggle. As we see someone smirk, we will remember his smirk. Lord, we thank you for who he was, who he is. We thank you for your comfort. We invite you here. And may you be with all of those who are mourning and grieving. May your presence be felt. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. We're now going to invite you to all mingle and enjoy some refreshments and coffee and food in the lobby. I'll ask you all to stand with me, and myself and the family will walk out, and then feel free to follow us and meet everyone in the lobby. Thank you for being here.